Hello and welcome to the Sticky Wicket Podcast, the show where we dive into all things cricket from the crease to the commentary box. Today's episode focuses on a pretty controversial decision in English cricket, the choice to keep Brendan McCullum on as a red ball coach. Is it a masterstroke or is it a risk that could backfire? I'm joined by two cricketing minds to break it all down. Here's Theo, a die-hard England fan who's fully bought into the Bazball era, and Heath, who plays at a semi-professional level and has actually shared a dressing room with a couple of the England players at youth level. We will also hear from former international cricket player Siddhant Gavankar on what he thinks McCullum can bring to England in the future. So let's start simple. First reactions. McCullum staying on as a red ball coach, good decision or not? Theo?
I think it's a brilliant decision. I've backed McCullum since the start. I like the transformation that McCullum's put in since he came in. It makes cricket entertaining. It's really nice to see that kind of cricket being played. Before that, I felt like the game was dying a bit.
So do you think like the players have took on to him and that's why they're keeping him on?
Well, I think with him being the red ball and the white ball coach, it's easier for the players to take on to him because a lot of them are already familiar with him, either from the red ball form or the white ball format.
So let's bring Heath into the fray. As someone who's played with a couple of the lads at youth level, you've been in dressing rooms in a professional or semi-professional standard. What are your thoughts on it?
Since he's come in, you can see the improvement in terms of results with... Before in Joe Root's era, it'd been about 40% of England's games that we won, but then it's jumped to 60.5% since then.
Is that down to McCullum, you think?
Well, yeah, I think, because especially with the run rate increasing by almost 1.5 per over, I think it's made a more attacking, winning mindset within the group.
Yeah. And what do you think, Theo? Do you think it can work either way, though? Like, we lose matches that we should win it. That win percentage, in theory, should be higher than that.
Oh yeah, we've definitely thrown matches away due to stupid batting decisions. Especially when you watch Harry Brook, he can be such a infuriating player at times when he will just go after a ball that he doesn't have to go after, and it loses us one of our best batsmen before he's even got a chance to take off.
Yeah, and obviously you played with a couple of the players, Heath. Were they like that at youth level, or is that something McCullum has played into?
Yeah, I think they were the same, but also they've all taken on board, I think, what McCullum and Stokes have brought into the team by having that aggressive, winning mindset, not wanting to draw games.
So let's dig into that Bazball era. It's exciting, but is it actually winning England games that matter? Well, it started off with a 3-0 series victory against New Zealand, a 1-0 victory against India. We've not actually beaten Australia. We drew with them 2-2, and we lost the most recent series. We lost in Pakistan 2-1. That was quite a big loss. And in the last English summer, we drew 2-2 to India, which we should have won. What do you think, Theo? Have them results been good enough, and do you think it's sustainable?
I mean, I do find it very upsetting that we seem to be one of the best cricket playing teams in the world, but at the same time, I don't feel like the series results are coming into play here. I feel like we don't know how to close a series. We're all right until it gets to that final 3 tests if it's a 5-game series, and we seem to just slacken off a little bit.
But it's entertaining cricket, and I would say it's brought fans back into it, because under Silverwood, you weren't getting full crowds most days. You were constantly losing, really. It wasn't good to watch. You had people like Lees and Burns up top scoring slow, and Sibley.
Yeah, it's much more entertaining cricket, but like you say, it's the big series that matter against your India, against your Australia. And in all of them, we just seem to be coming up short. Like the last series down under in Australia was pathetic, and then the ones at home like India should have won that final test match but threw it away.
Were they about finding the right balance, do you think, in the game, just trying too hard to get runs really quickly?
Yeah, definitely. Especially that last test against India, we were a big total to chase, but we were basically there, lost Root and Brook, and then it was everyone else just seemed to throw it away, and then we lost it by 5 runs or whatever we lost by.
But would you say you're watching more games than 4 years ago?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, because it is, like you say, it's more entertaining. Higher run rate is always going to be more entertaining, whether it's in runs or whether wickets to take.
Would you say McCullum is maybe too committed to one style? Only plan A, no plan B or C?
Well, why change what's not broken?
But would you not say it's broken with the recent Ashes result, the result against India? Series I would say we should have won. Would you not say you needed a plan B then?
Maybe to an extent, but it has gave us a lot of success in recent years. It's just sad to see us throw away games. I think people need to take on Joe Root's mindset sometimes and just stick in and not adapt to the Bazball way, as we've seen Joe Root do. He gave it a go. It wasn't really his style, and he's back to scoring runs again.
To a certain extent, yeah, but I'm assuming, Heath, you think that the players should adapt to that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like you saw Stokes in Australia, who almost went against McCullum's style and got like a 150 ball 50 and dug in when others others weren't.
Do you think some of the players aren't capable of doing that though? So I think Bethel's come in the team. I think Bethel is capable of doing that. I think Brook is capable if he puts his mind to it, but that is the problem. Can they put the mind to it?
Yeah, they're professional cricketers, aren't they? They can all do it. And the thing is, you've got to find the balance of Brook is better when he's aggressive, but he's also got to not every ball. When in a situation where you've got to stick in with the likes of Root, who has done it for how many years now. You've got to do it, basically.
Well, let's move on to the player development then. I think there's a few players that probably won't be in the team anymore. I think Crawley's done. I think Jamie Smith needs to prove himself because I think he's a player that doesn't have two gears. I think he's only in one gear and it's smashing the ball.
There's some positives and negatives to players. Obviously, watching how Bethel came into that England side in Australia was a delight to see, some young blood in the team who was fighting for a badge. And you know what? He really did prove himself in my eyes. I do think that lad deserves a spot in the team now.
Do you think he had a bit of freedom compared to Ollie Pope?
Oh, yeah, he definitely had a bit of freedom, but that there weren't as much pressure on his shoulders because Pope, I'm sorry if Ollie Pope's listening to this, but he had a shocking series in my eyes. Absolutely dreadful. Whereas Bethel comes in and in all honesty, I think it was like, look at me, Ollie Pope, I'm coming for your spot. Whether that will put pressure on Pope.
So, a big boy that might go out of the Bazball system is Zach Crawley. He's played 64 test matches now since 2019, 117 innings, average of 31.19. Terrible for an opener. It's the lowest opener in the 21st century for England. There are a few options who can overtake it.
A lot of options in the county championship. You've got people like Sibley, Burns, Hamid, who have all played.
They've all played before. Do you think they're right coming back into the system under McCullum?
They don't suit. They were all slow building innings, which is something that England will maybe need. But
I think if McCullum had left, I think they'd have definitely been back in.
Yeah, especially someone like Hamid, who scored a lot of runs last year, captain Nottinghamshire to the Division 1 title, and I just think Crawley still has that reputation amongst McCullum, amongst England, where he is their number one, and they like him at the top of the order.
And I think the fresh options are few and far between at the minute. There's McKinney, who's a big left-hander, but he's not an opener. Gay is number 3. Obviously, McCullum is still the white ball coach as well. Well, he's now been announced as a red ball coach for probably the next few years. And him being a white ball coach is potentially not a good thing, but it's potentially not a bad thing. There's a few players that are cross-format, and I think that's a benefit to the system.
Yeah, I'd say you could say that there should be a focus on, like, the red ball's the main game for England. They want to be the number one team in the world again, but at the same time, like you say, the amount of players that are cross-format with you, like Brook, Root plays ODI, and there's a lot of players that play all three formats as well under McCullum. So I think for the minute it's working. We've not been terrible in white ball. Again, we got to the semi-final, played a pretty decent semi-final. Got unlucky really that India are that top team in T20s, and if over the next 2 years we're struggling in tests and white ball stuff, we don't win trophies and we're not competing, then I think maybe then you look at either obviously McCullum going or whether you just make him the red ball and get someone else in who's specialist white ball coach.
But then obviously when you say McCullum comes with Stokes. I think this will be Stokes' last summer in charge of England. I think he'll retire from captaincy. I don't think he'll retire, but I don't think he'll be captain after this summer. Harry Brook will then obviously become red ball captain, I'd have thought. What then happens with the white ball structure? And will Brook and McCullum work well together, do you think?
Well, they already work together, don't they? Because Brook is currently the white ball captain, and like I say, that it seems like even though Brook's still fairly young, I mean he's 25, 26 now anyway, so he's a well-established international. I think he seems to have the respect of everyone, and that they work together well. They both got that attacking mindset, as Stokes and McCullum both do, like how they work together. So I can't see he's the obvious replacement once that next Ashes series is done to replace Stokes.
That is a positive of McCullum's era, is he has brought players through. He's brought Brook through, he's brought Bethel through, he's brought... Who else has he brought
Atkinson. Archer's back, I know it's not come through.
Cars was doing alright, didn't have the greatest summer really, but he's brought him into the system. Potts has been getting a couple more games. I think he's done well with all that. I think that is something that we've hardly done in the past. Bashir
coming through. Although we didn't use him in, which is another thing, used him all the way for like 2 years, and then as soon as it came to Australia, decides, oh no, we don't want him at all in the side. So.
And it seemed like we were training him up for Australia. There was everyone was saying he'd get bounced in Australia, and saying his spin would work in Australia, and clearly I don't know why we didn't turn to him to use him when that's what we've trained him up for. I'd rather have Jack Leach in the side than Bashir when I watched him in the India series. But obviously, everyone was just behind McCullum. I was behind McCullum. I was thinking, give Bashir a go. Let's see what he can do.
Does that come down to the way McCullum's approached away games or away series? Because we've not won in New Zealand first time round under him. We didn't win in Australia. We didn't win in India. And we didn't win in Pakistan. That's some quite big series there that we've not adapted well to. I mean, we got a couple of draws in there, but also a couple of losses. Is that something that do you think he could improve on?
It's always difficult in cricket. It's always difficult going away from home. Like England at home haven't lost a series in, I think it was 2017, 2016. It's been a long time since England lost a series, as every Test side do. But at the same time, to be the best Test nation, you need to be going. Like New Zealand went to India and they won 3-0, I think, which is something that with England's talent and England's pool of players, they should be able to go over to them countries that are very hard, they're difficult and not many teams win, but they should be able to go and win them.
Right, and just before we wrap up on our final verdict, I'm going to head over to the interview I did with Will Lobley, the sports journalist who writes on cricket and covers cricket in the media, about what his thoughts are on the situation. Right, time to put you both on the spot. One sentence: McCullum in, McCullum out, wrong or right decision? I think in. I think he's brought through some good players. I think he's made them brilliant players.
Well, I think a right decision is he has revolutionised England cricket, and I do think there's more to come, but I would like to see in the future him adapt to other teams more.
I'd say yes, but it's a risky decision.
We've had our say here on the Sticky Wicket podcast, so now let's cut to an interview I did with former international cricket player Siddhant Gavankar on how he thinks England will change under McCullum. So, Brendan McCullum has been given the nod for the summer. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a good move. I think he's been long enough with the team to understand culture and understand the players. I think a change would be more detrimental than keeping him on.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, a few players are likely to be dropped. Who do you think would be in the firing line?
I think a couple of the young spinners. I think maybe somebody like Rehan Ahmed. I think they might get rid of Josh Tongue. I think they would want to see some fire in the belly.
Are you Zach Crawley in or Zach Crawley out?
I am Zach Crawley in.
Ooh, why is that?
I think mindset, if you speak strictly numbers, he is in the top 10 run getters of the World Test Championship all time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for your time. Appreciated.
Of course.
That's all for today's episodes of the Sticky Wicket Podcast. A big thanks to Theo and Heath. Thank you, boys.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you, everybody.
Let us know what you think. Is McCullum the man to take England forward in red ball cricket? We'll be back soon with more podcast chats. Until then, keep it between the wickets.